Talladega. Just the word spends chills up the spine of race fans and drivers alike. Bill France built the fastest speedway on earth, and the fans show up in droves, wondering what's going to happen next. Welcome to the NASCAR Cup Series qualifying at Talladega Superspeedway. Hi, everybody. Look who's joined us for the weekend. The Pied Piper rolled into Talladega, and we all followed him. Dale Earnhardt Jr., welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to seeing some qualifying today. Excited to see what these cars are going to do. And I think Hendrick's going to be fast. They always are at these kind of places, but maybe some out of surprises today.
And thanks to NBC and Fox for working all this out, that you get to join us for the weekend at what has to be your favorite racetrack.
It is. I think me and Clint both like this place. We both had some good success here.
I had some. You had a lot. And that's actually what I'm looking forward to the most, of having you up here in the booth and trying to figure out how he did that so well. You know, that thing is put yourself in a situation for that magical push off that turn 4, and nobody did it better than you.
There's 39 guys out there who would like to figure that out too. So if you get a handle on it, I think you could make some money. Single lap qualifying, one round for all 39 drivers, and then the fastest 10 will square off and run for the Busch Light pole. J.J. Yeley, multiple USAC champion, has one Superspeedway top 10, making his 4th start of the season in this 55. Who made the 55 famous here? Phil Parsons, Bobby Hamilton.
That's right.
Wasn't Kenny Wallace in the 55 when he passed Dale Earnhardt to that victory in October 2000?
My gosh, I have 2 historians in the booth this week. I can't wait for you to start flexing on Mike, Dale.
I'm just going to sit back and listen to Mike. He's the man.
No.
He knows all the things.
I was following along on Twitter. Dale Jr., he was showing some Talladega carnage yesterday.
Yeah.
My gosh, has this hosted some wild ones, huh?
It has. A lot of history.
J.J. Yeley, 55.662 seconds is the first lap posted up on the board. Single lap qualifying. Here's Vince Welch.
Well, 1 lap of qualifying, maybe 2, and no practice, but I know, Denny Hamlin, nothing is wasted for a race team here. So what do you and your crew chief want to get out of this little bit of a session here?
Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot, but honestly, you know, we've only had 1 qualifying session so far with this next-gen car on a super speedway, and it's how hard do you want to be on the stops, right? And how much can you take? And so just trying to find the limit. This track is different than Daytona in some aspects, so, you know, we will, you know, have some information that I'm going to give to the crew chief. I don't know if it's going to be productive, but I'll try my best to give them all the information they can to in this limited session to get us something we can learn with.
Thanks, Denny. Mike?
Noah Gregson for Beard Motorsports is on track. Wendy's has a huge presence here at Talladega out in the infield. I think Clint's headed there as soon as we're done.
Had enough of that. One and done. Got a plug check last night rolling in, and I am done.
Quite a bit faster than JJ there.
53.98. Noah made his Cup debut at Daytona, finished 31st for Beard Motorsports. And here's the Biff. Greg Biffle making his 5th start of the season. He has a win at Daytona in 2003. Now, no practice here. So how does that adjust your mindset and set up and all for qualifying?
You get in there and strap in and hope it cranks. You know, you hope it does everything. You know, these guys will get in the sim or maybe get on their simulators at home and try to, you know, mimic the lap just to make sure they're understanding where their shifts are. You got to know where to shift. You want to shift at the right RPM. You want to get out on that racetrack as quick as you can. Don't waste any time getting up to speed. I remember pulling off pit road to qualify from our first Xfinity race in '98, and I eased off pit road. Tommy Cedar come on the radio and said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, definitely a big launch. You know, getting up through the gearbox good. How you do that, you know, here is a different conversation with these guys. They'll tell you literally exactly what RPM to shift every gear all the way up through. And then the 5-speed sequential gear shift, you know, is a big part of that equation as well.
So Biffle, 2nd of the 3 that have run so far. Speaking of simulations, we couldn't help but notice something that happened on social media this week.
Junior to the outside. Here comes Kyler Wynn. They are side by side. Wynn through the middle. Out of the triangle. They win. Dale Jr. wins it.
How wild is it that that wreck literally looks exactly like Talladega does, and how those old cars used to lift off like that? You couldn't be any more spot on. Junior, you winning that race 3 wide in true Talladega fashion. What a deal, huh?
Yeah, this was all night racing earlier this week. Moonhead is the server. Guy puts on races just about every night. He's a great little announcer there. Kind of reminds me of Bill Cannell from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yep, very much so.
A lot of fun.
How does he make his voice do that? Landon Castle was scheduled to qualify next, but they had inspection issues, rear spoiler issues, so Castle will have to start in the back and do a pass-through. Here's David Reagan out of Georgia, making his 3rd start of 2022 for Rick Ware Racing. He has 2 Cup wins, both on super speedways, including here in 2013.
Back in the day when he used to come over here for qualifying, you needed those practice sessions. I don't know how many times, Dale, you used to, maybe roll the drive shaft 180, unbolt it, bolt it back in 180 because of a vibration or something like that. With technology that we have in these cars today's day and age, you just don't have those gremlins.
Yeah, still, as a driver, I think I want some laps and be able to get around my teammates and see how the air changes this car. They don't have a lot of time in racing situations with this car, just the Daytona 500 in the draft, and don't know everything we need to know about it. So I'd like to know that we got the platform where we want it, and like Denny was talking about the stops, how much can you handle? How hard can you get on those stops and still drive the car comfortably?
B.J. McLeod scored a top 10 at Daytona in the summer race there last year.
This guy works hard to put race cars on the racetrack. Got to know him pretty well through the Xfinity Series.
And McLeod will be 4th of 5. Here's Vince.
What a special day it was last October when Bubba Wallace got his first career win here. What's it like coming back to Talladega this time around?
I've been asked that a few times today, and it's just another racetrack. But
is it really?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm trying to keep it, a level playing field. I know what we can do tomorrow, and then we just got to get there first. We have to execute. We have to minimize our mistakes and just have a fighting chance at the end. So I feel like I hope our team brought a really solid McDonald's Toyota Camry with no practice. I don't know, so that's why I'm saying I think. But got faith in my guys, got faith in our team. So our speedway stuff's been solid, so it makes it more fun here. Bring all the confidence that you can. Just can't overstep it.
It's going to be fun to watch. Thanks, Bob.
Ghost car at the top shows Daniel Hemrick making his 4th start of the year. Had a 5th place finish here in April of 2019, his career best, and that's versus Noah Gregson, who is currently fastest.
He's got his hand out the window trying to block some of that air getting on that rear spoiler.
Must be working because he's going to the top of the board.
53.49. That's half a second faster than Noah Gregson.
Listen to Bubba there saying it's just another race. No way. Did you see that stat? Top 2 in 2 of the last 3 races on these super speedway tracks. Man, he's been doing a whale of a job. This could be another one here this weekend.
Cody Ware had a bit of controversy last week. His career best finish of 17th came at Daytona in February. He and Chase Elliott got into a bit of a bumping match midway in that race at Bristol. The problem with it came because Cody was a lap down and Chase Elliott was on the lead lap at that moment, according to our stats. Cody was in the free pass position, wanted to protect that, didn't appreciate the way he got raced. And I guess he and Chase will just have to agree to disagree on that.
Yeah, bit back a little bit under caution. I don't think Chase was quite ready for that.
Nope. So the qualifying order is set by NASCAR's matrix, which takes into account the point standings, the last race finish, and the last race fastest lap. So usually that means the best cars will be going last. But as this track and this state of Alabama heats up in the noonday sun, might that be a disadvantage for the fellows going late in the run?
That's one way to look at it. But the other thing, and I see him fixing to roll off, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in that 47, him and his crew chief Brian Patty always seem to bring speed to Talladega. You know, using that matrix at a dirt track like Bristol, a little, you know, throws things haywire. You see Denny Hamlin going out right here, prime example of that very scenario.
Denny giving up a little bit of feet there on the racetrack. I know the drivers will say that the car does everything, but the driver can make an effect here, can have something to do with the quality of the lap. You'll see how tight he runs next to the apron in the turns. He gave up a little bit of speed in 1 and 2, or actually made the lap longer by going up the racetrack a little bit.
I tell you what, though, Mike, you are right. The stat guy just showed me 89 degrees when we started this session, 95 now. So the old temperature's jumping up pretty quick.
That's the track temp. So we'll see. Now here's Hamlin trying to beat Noah Gragson for the top of the board. 5 super speedway wins include, of course, 3 Daytona 500s and 2 here. Hamlin fastest, 53.44. That's half a tenth quicker than Daniel Hemrick. Coming up, Ricky Stenhouse, Kevin Harvick, and Kurt Busch next. Bobby Allison turning around backwards, getting up and into the fence. Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman, and on and on and on. The highlight reel of frequent flyers at Talladega is longer and scarier than at any other racetrack. But in most all of these cases, they walked away.
This track is literally the definition of thrills, spills, and chills.
It's been going on since the early 70s. I mean, as soon as they built this place, the big ones like this have been known to happen.
So much so that it's almost not a question of if there will be a big one, it's when. 9 drivers have been on the board so far, including Landon Castle, who was not allowed to qualify due to inspection issues. And we move to Ricky Stenhouse. Both of his Cup wins have come on super speedways. He won in May of 2017 here, and was in contention this February in Daytona.
He's good at these plate tracks, and I expect him, if he can get through the first 2 stages, he will be in contention at the end. But he's a checkers or wreckers kind of guy.
Very aggressive race car driver behind the wheel on these plate tracks. He is always willing and able to put that thing, if there ain't a hole, let's make a hole.
Now, to be fair, he's on the other side of that aggression in Daytona and 500 this year, getting spun off the nose of the 6 car, but certainly fun to watch at these places.
And was in contention, was at the front of the pack, in contention to win that race.
And Stenhouse times in 3rd. Back down to Vince with the Daytona 500 champion.
That's right. We were just talking about how busy the schedule has still been after winning the Daytona 500. Now your first Cup Series race at Talladega. What's your anticipation of the next couple of days?
Yeah, I definitely think Talladega has some differences, traditionally from Daytona. So understanding how those apply versus, what we had at Daytona, I think everybody's going to be continually learning. I think for tomorrow, the big thing about Daytona is that we had a test. We had, speed weeks, we had the duels, and, everyone's kind of just going in cold turkey trying to remember that stuff again. So I think there's some opportunity there, but excited to see how the race plays out tomorrow in our Savinium Menards Ford Mustang, and hopefully we can keep it out of the front like we did last time and stay out of the wrecks and hope for the best.
You always got to hope, a lot of wishing and hoping, Mike. And by the way, Austin will be in the booth on FS1 for the ARCA race later today.
Look at the helmet. Kevin Harvick bouncing on those bump stops. Pretty uncomfortable ride for those guys going around here.
That is one thing for qualifying, when you start talking about that, they can really pin these things down with the shocks of today's day and age and ride very rigid.
Harvick 3rd fastest. He was top 10 in both Talladega races last year. And we're going to show you Kurt Busch's launch off pit road. Lighten them up. And now bumping will begin because only the 10 fastest drivers in this single round of qualifying He did some drag racing the last couple of seasons, and there's the evidence
of it. Thinking about that.
Yeah. Only the fastest 10 will go on to the final round.
Interesting that Kurt has the spoke on the steering wheel straight up.
It's exactly the first thing I noticed when I was like, man, I've never seen that before.
Maybe that's not intentional because these guys don't get a chance to really kind of clock the steering wheel.
Now, he had the fastest get-up-to-speed lap of anybody that's been on the track yet.
You were his teammate, weren't you, at one time? Is this like something he does all the time?
And what he's looking at, you can see the spoke right here in the top of the wheel. That is usually you want, you don't want your thumbs on it today's day and age with the rack and pinion steering, but you need that. That's your guide. And when you clock that wheel, that's how I used to set up my car, man. If my hands were too far over, too tight, free this thing up. You don't want to be turning right too much, though.
So Kurt Busch's fastest bumps J.J. Yaley out of the top 10. Corey LaJoie, 4 of his 5 top 10 finishes have been on super speedways, and the other was at Atlanta this spring, which I guess is now a super speedway.
Yeah.
That is a wild wrap on that car.
It is.
I have some fun flair on the little 7 machine.
That's the way Corey is. That's the kind of guy I see Corey as being. Goes on podcasts, works really hard to put himself out there and promote himself and his sponsors and partners.
Have you seen his car for Darlington?
I think I did. Yeah.
He won the throwback contest last year. That Ellen Kowicki car was perfect.
They've not all been released now, Mike. There may be another one hiding in the weeds.
I'm not voting yet. I'm not voting till we get there. We'll call you for your vote. How's that?
All right.
All right. Corey LaJoie is 7th, and he bumps B.J. McLeod out of the top 10. Here is Harrison Burton. The rookie had a rough introduction to the Cup Series at Daytona in the Wood Brothers Ford.
He sure did. Welcome to the Cup Series, kid. Upside down in a big way. What a wild ride that he had right off the bat. First race.
And it looks like he will handily bump David Reagan out of the top 10. Harrison actually made his Cup Series debut right here last spring, finished 20th. Start-finish line here on down toward turn 1, and Burton clocks in 5th. Vince?
Just laughing with Martin Truex Jr. They look slow when you look at it on the monitor. How does it feel when you're actually behind the wheel? You've been around here a long time. This will be your 35th Talladega race. Can you believe that?
Out of the 35, not many of them have been very good to me, but you always look forward to it. It's a lot of fun to race here. Yeah, this is kind of, by yourself. It's just take a lap and see what you got, but it gets real on Sunday. It's a pretty wild place, so excited to be here, and hopefully our best Pro Camry's really fast tomorrow and we get our first Talladega win.
You're long overdue. Wish you the best.
Ross Chastain on track, 5 top 5s this season, including his win at COTA.
Looks like they got that car skewed a little bit. Clint, you're pointing that out on the camera there.
Yeah, I noticed a little bit more. It seems like with the one car,
look at it.
The track house definitely has some skew. Reverse skew is what we would call it. Skewed a little bit, pointed to the right. Right down on the line. Getting the most out of this racetrack. Smallest way around, the fastest way, right?
Trying to get that rear spoiler out of the air any way possible, so they'll skew the rear housing or the back of the car toward the left because the car tries to go into yaw in the corner. And you see it right there. Never really like driving cars that don't track the right way, but anything you can do to find a little speed, right?
Well, they narrowed that up quite a bit in Daytona. We first went out in practice, and everybody was really playing with that a lot, finding some, some juice there. And when they straightened them up, I think it was for the better. I agree. It always kind of promoted more movement, and I didn't like more movement at all at a super speedway.
So Ross Chastain is 4th, bumping Greg Biffle. Here is Bubba Wallace. He got his first win here last fall.
Great laps from 23:11. Kurt Busch going after him.
Going to put Toyota 1, 2, 3. At the
Might
top
go
of the
after
chart.
his boss here, huh?
Well above the bubble there in 10th. We'll have to see how close he is to the pole.
And he bumps Cody Ware. He is second to Kurt Busch by 4/100ths of a second.
You know, that's a great point, Dale. Listen, folks, all you got to do is make that final round here. What he doesn't want to do, don't drag the brakes, get down through the gearbox, do everything you can do to get that thing back, because you're going to need that to be sitting on the pole, and that's doable. A 31 above the wall is 53.31 to a 53.27, and his teammate Kurt Busch. There's some things there, cooling the gearbox, getting some things with your fluids right, and you could best him. Maybe a little bit of a wind gust difference.
Yeah, explain that to me. You mentioned not dragging the brakes. You definitely don't want to do those things, but what will that do to the next run if he comes down the pit road, slows the car down using the brake pedal?
It's just drag, right? And those brake pads, just like any car that you drive on the road, those pads are touching the rotor. And any kind of touch is drag on your performance of the speed on that car. So these teams, they work hard on pullback springs, pushing those pads back for these qualifying laps. But the key is to get that thing back without pushing those things in, because it doesn't quite get all the way back, and you'll have some drag on that second lap if you're not careful.
Austin Dillon, the 2018 Daytona 500 winner. He'll be in the Xfinity Series booth later this afternoon, and he times in 5th, bumping Corey LaJoie out of the top 10. Vince?
With Daniel Suarez, been a good season for the Trackhouse group. Couple of top fives already. What's your approach to this session, one lap of qualifying?
I guess my approach is very similar to everyone else. You know, just try to, as a driver, the only thing that you can really control is your exit. Going up the shift as good as possible. And that sometimes can change half a tenth, maybe a tenth to the line. And that can be a little bit of a difference on your good lap. But as a driver, that's pretty much all you can do. You are hoping that the guys in the shop and everyone in the engine shop and everything, they have done an amazing job to try to bring a fast car. But we'll find out here exactly what we got in a few minutes.
You've got one job. Don't screw it up.
Don't screw it up.
Eric Jones on track for Petty GMS. 3 top 10s in the last 4 Talladega races for Eric, who scored a win in the summer race at Daytona in 2018.
I can tell you a dozen things that I could do during a qualifying lap that would make a difference in the time of the car. Now, whether they're real or not, I don't know. But you go out there and you think you're trying to make a difference with your line and everything. You're
holding the wheel.
Yeah.
I used to lock my elbow in the seat and in a corner, not moving.
So I came here in 1993 and got to test my dad's Busch car, and I go out there and I ran, and I was so nervous I had a hold of the wheel really tight, not letting it move. Went out there and I ran just as fast as Dave Marcus, who was testing the car for Dad.
Wow.
I went out there the next run. I let the wheel do what it wanted to, kind of chilled out, relaxed a little bit, a second slower. I came in and I told Dave what I did, and he's like, "Oh, you got to hold that wheel tight. Don't let it move. Don't let the bumps move the steering wheel around. Hold it still." There's a lot of things that a driver can do that can make the lap slower. And you just got to make sure when you're out there you hold the wheel tight, like you say. Not a lot of bumps here, so the wheel's not trying to jump out of your hands like it used to with the old surface. There you see the 10 trying to block. I don't know whether
You just oversold that. You got to hold that wheel tight with show here. Jack with Wayne.
Hey, come on. Dave Marcus had 3 poles here, so he knew what he was talking about. So Jones timed in 6th, bumped Noah Gregson. You can see by the ghost car that Eric Almirola has just bumped Ricky Stenhouse, qualifying 8th. Almirola, the October 18 Talladega winner. So 19 of 39 cars have been on the clock.
The Stallions. I think they're going to be the deal.
Big come from behind win last week, right? Get things started. All right, Todd Gilliland making his first Cup start at Talladega. He has 4 Truck Series starts here, including second place. Right now, the bump is Harrison Burton, fellow rookie, at 53.764.
I love Todd's interview last weekend. Before he went on, he called his buddies and said, "Hey, I'm fixing to be on TV. Turn your TV on." Lo and behold, he said it on the interview. I loved it. It was so funny.
he's done an amazing job this year in this car.
Sure
I think he's overachieving a bit. I'm sure he'd love to run better, but
had a lot of speed and practice sessions on Friday on that dirt, and that was something that I don't think is in his background. Again, you know, that was such a neat thing about that dirt race, is you just never knew who could rise to the occasion, who could learn that, you know, that craft, and you instantly flocked to the guys with the dirt background experience. But man, he had speed and others as well.
That car number had 3 straight poles here, 2 by Elliott Sadler and 1 by Todd's father, David. Through the tri-oval, and right there is where the start-finish line is at Daytona. Here at Talladega, Bill France put the start-finish line down here toward turn 1 to make those seats saleable. And Todd Gilliland is 13th and will not bump Harrison Burton out of the top 10, Vince.
With Alex Bowman, just finished up a conversation with his crew chief, Greg Ives. What was that chat about?
Yeah, Greg had a big night on the boulevard last night. So
I don't believe that.
Just talking about his experience out there and all these great fans out here in Talladega, and how he's going to recover from his boulevard experience. But no, really glad to be here in Talladega. Hopefully I don't mess up qualifying. It's about all I can do is mess it up. I can't make it go any faster. So these Hendrick cars always qualify really well at super speedways, and our Ally 48 should be pretty decent. We'll just wait and see, but ready to race tomorrow.
Junior, can you imagine Greg Ives on the boulevard having a heck of a time?
honestly, I can't. There's a little side of Greg that a lot of people don't know. He can have fun.
Boulevard to get that out of anybody.
That's right.
If it's in you, it'll find it.
Brad Keselowski has more Talladega wins than anybody in this race. 6.
Needs one. Needs another one. Needs that 7th in a big way. It's a huge weekend for Brad Keselowski, RFK.
Harrison Burton is the ghost car. He is 10th. Not anymore. Kevin Harvick on the bubble now as Keselowski bumps in 6th place.
And I'm going through this session assuming that the Hendrick cars, those 4 cars, are going to be in the top 5. So you're going to have to do maybe a little bit better than Brad, I think, to make this 10.
Cole Custer, last week's pole sitter, has 4 Talladega starts with 1 top 10 finish. It came in this race last year.
Had a big one on the boulevard last night, boys. Had the barbecue wrestling competition that I was maybe a part of. Did not wrestle, but the woman that won came and gave me a big hug with all that barbecue sauce all over her, Dale. It was the most terrible experience I've ever had in my life. I had to go back, throw my clothes away, change, shower, and get back in again.
Get back out there.
Oh yeah. Nonetheless, I went back.
Vinegar based or?
Oh yeah. So it just had that smell to it. Could not get it off.
I saw Cole was out there. Saw his social media. He was blowing some kind of horn.
So the boulevard is not Speedway Boulevard in front of the track that runs by Talladega Short Track. It is a former runway in the Talladega infield. That is the boulevard. We'll show you later. Have a look at this.
Look at the splitter on right against the racetrack there. Bouncing up and down, riding on those bump stops.
Just really rigid. But one thing you do see is it stops pretty much right before it kisses that asphalt and creates drag. That's something that you got to have on point. And you really lean on your simulation, and you know how validated it is when you get here and that car's not bottoming out. That was something that you had to figure out in practice sessions. And now that there's no practice, you got to have that thing really close. But if you overstep that line, you're in big trouble.
So Custer does not bump in. He is 13th. Kevin Harvick is still on the bubble against Austin Cindric, making his first Talladega Cup start.
Now look at that 4 car close in a little bit through the corner. Back on the straightaway, the 2 holding steady. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when this Menards car is out there, I get confused on who's driving it.
Yes. I keep thinking Blaney or
Thank you
Cindric.
for saying that.
It's a struggle.
Yep.
Man.
The moving sponsor. Cindric is 8th. He will bump Kevin Harvick out of the top 10, Vince.
Talked a lot about the Hendrick speed here. Chase Elliott buckled in and ready to go. How optimistic are you that maybe you've got a pull car today?
We'll see. I'm not sure. We're just worried about tomorrow with our Napa Chevy. So I hope we get that right. That's been the piece of the puzzle with these places that I think we need to be better at. So we're taking a shot at that this week, and we'll see where we qualify. But hopefully this thing drives good tomorrow, and we can get ourselves in some good spots. But I'm curious. I just want to know, did Clint make the morning meeting this morning? That's all I want to know. Did he make it? Yes or no?
Barely, but he rolled around in some barbecue, if you find that believable.
I'm not surprised. I'm just glad he showed up today.
a little raspy voice, but he's there. Yeah. Thanks, Jake.
Hey, what is this with all the Toyotas at the top of the board? At Daytona, they did not qualify well, but here comes Martin Truex, the last driver to win a pole at Talladega for Toyota back in 2016.
They raced well. They raced with speed at the Daytona 500, so it doesn't surprise me that they are fast and to the top of the board here. Look at that. Shots fired, 53.22.
He also had the fastest get up to speed lap.
Yeah, talking to Clint this week, we were wondering about who might have came here and has improved on what we saw in Daytona. You're right about how the Toyotas were able to draft, push each other, get to the front of the field in the 500 earlier in February. Now it seems they've brought more speed, more power, more motor. They'll be able to contend against them Fords who can tandem well. Also, the Chevys have to be worried just about being able to tandem and push.
The other thing that caught my eye is those two right there. In Daytona, Eric Almirola was the only one of the SHR camp that was, made that final 10 and had speed on qualifying day. The other two kind of were geared up for a race trim package. Now they seem like they've merged together and have the same outlook on, speed-wise.
So here's Justin Haley, who has a super speedway win and 4 victories in the Xfinity Series on super speedways. And Haley bumps in 6th and knocks Ross Chastain out of the top 10. Vince.
Kyle Larson buckling in. We just spoke with Chase Elliott a moment ago. Obviously, tomorrow is most important, but what do you want to learn today in this 1 or 2 laps you get?
I don't know what there is to learn. Hopefully our car is fast. It was at Daytona in qualifying. We were able to get the pole for the 500, so I know our HinderCars.com Chevy will be good. But yeah, the race is what matters. I mean, qualifying is not a big deal here on these types of tracks. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow goes smooth and I can finally finish a race here.
Someday it'll happen. Someday it'll happen. Maybe tomorrow. Thanks.
Micah McDowell trying to be the second Ford in the top 10. To do that, he'll have to bump Austin Cindric. McDowell, the 2021 Daytona 500 winner, 3rd here in this race last spring.
Look at here, Dale.
Yeah, he's closing in on it down the back straightaway, losing a little speed down the front straightaway. That is. Seemed to be a little bit quicker in the corner, but just not enough straightaway speed.
McDowell is 12th, and Austin Cindric holds on to the bubble spot.
P12 there. Shut it down.
Chris Buescher for RFK Racing has 2 top 10s in the last 4 Talladega races. Remember, RFK swept the dual races in Daytona this February.
Kind of forward thinking here a little bit, Dale. Pretty much the hottest race that we've had so far. Going to be about 85 degrees tomorrow. A racetrack where you hold that throttle down wide open all the way around here. I remember through the years, different cars and things like that, how hot your feet would get having to hold your foot wide open on that floorboard. Kind of curious to see, how that is with this new car.
I am too. I think the pedals in this car there's a little bit more separation between the pedal and the actual floorboard itself, but it is kind of untested as far as running in high temps with your foot that close to the floorboard. I think I'd bring the booties back. If I hadn't worn, they make these booties that kind of protect your foot. I think I might bring those back,
right?
Just in case, right?
Yeah, better be safe than sorry. Yeah. But honestly, Mike, it would get hot enough that at times, I don't know what you do. If I was just riding, I'd even change my foot for a little while. Change my foot and use my left foot on that throttle pedal. Yeah.
Vince?
With Tyler Reddick looking over some data with crew chief Randall Burnett, and it looks very technical. I'm going to let you put it into layman's terms for us, what you're just looking at there.
Well, there's only so much you can do here. Once you're on your lap here, it's qualifying in Talladega, so just trying to cover all the bases that we can, get the most that we can out of our BetMGM Chevrolet.
And where is that for you?
Well, I mean, getting up to speed is pretty much, I'd say, where, you know, a big chunk of that is. So just trying to figure out what we need to do so I get the best launch possible.
Thanks.
Well, he's right. The two fastest get-up-to-speed laps are the two drivers at the top of the chart, Truex and Kurt Busch. Here is Daniel Suarez. His only superspeedway top 10 was 10th here in the spring of 2018. He led a career-high number of laps last week on the dirt of Bristol.
There's another Trackhouse car that's skewed pretty hard in the rear end. The rear of the car is skewed to the left to try to take some drag out.
About 3/10 faster than that teammate that was skewed, though. So obviously a little bit different mentality with those cars.
So Suarez is fourth. He could make the top 10, and that bumps Austin Cindric. Eric Jones on the bubble now. Chase Briscoe threw a Hail Mary into turn 3 on the final lap at Bristol. That did not go well. Watch the 14.
You knew it was coming. He got that run off the corner. Went for a big slide job. Not clear at all. It gets in the side of Tyler Reddick. And I was just listening to Tyler Reddick in that interview where he lost that race by that much. By the way, he did a 360, got that thing back going, and just barely lost that race. But man, oh man, what a tough week. That's a tough pill to swallow. Having your first win in a Cup Series, and being on dirt where you came from in your background, and have that thing taken from you in the last corner.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting to listen to his conversation on pit road about he felt like he didn't do everything he should have done those last several laps and allowed the 14 to even get that opportunity.
Man, I was just expecting, maybe I was wanting more out of that.
I think everybody was.
Yeah.
Well, he misses bumping in here by 7 1/1000ths of a second. Right there with the rest of the SHR cars. Chase Briscoe is 11th. Joey Logano among those waiting for their turn at Talladega.
Everybody in the booth can tell myself apart from you. Now the word dancing people, dancing people, dancing people, dancing people.
This is Talladega. There's big signs all over the place that say that. Now, NASCAR Chasm wrote on Twitter, that's because if you wake up this morning with a headache like Clint's, you can look up and see that big sign and know right where you are.
Let me tell you something. It was worth it, Mike.
All right.
I would redo it in a heartbeat. I'm probably going to go in there and see it again today. The action is here. This track hosts such a great time, whether it's on the boulevard or certainly on this racetrack. One of the coolest places I've ever been. I love bringing new people here, too. You know, everybody asks your friends and everybody, where do I go? Where do I go to my next NASCAR race? I'm telling you, if you haven't been to Talladega and experienced this, get your butt over here.
It's kind of like Mardi Gras in the infield, and they got a lot of campers here this year. When I first come in this morning, even outside the racetrack, all the campgrounds are pretty filled up.
I remember back in the day, Russell Brown came to me and goes, man, what would you do to change this thing? I was like, honestly, get out of the way.
Yeah.
These people know how to have fun. Just get out of their way and let them do it.
William Byron in the first Hendrick Motorsports car, so we really get to see kind of what kind of, you know, what kind of lap they'll put down. They are the guys that have been getting the poles at these racetracks like Daytona and Talladega.
Right down on that yellow line.
But right now he's trending for 5th fastest. A little bit surprised by that.
Looks like he lost a little bit in the corner.
I know, and that's why I think these guys would like to have a little practice to understand where that pace is. How come the car doesn't go through the corner like it should? What's wrong with the platform? What can they do to improve that? Get that speed in the corner and the straightaway.
That's a good question. You know, with this new car, did he not hold the wheel right, or was the car a little bit tighter? Maybe rolled through the corner a little bit tighter, scrub speed.
Yeah, we know the undercarriage of this car is much different than before, and as it travels, it may change the drag in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, so confusing when you see these cars on these faster racetracks. All the downforce is no longer on top of that car. It's underneath of it.
So Byron clocks in 6th. That bumps Eric Jones. It puts Brad Keselowski on the bubble. And Ty Dillon, who got his first top of this 10 of the season last week at Bristol, finished 3rd here in October 2020.
He got off pit road and accelerated to the green flag in a good position, but is losing time, falling out of the top 10 here.
Never liked this ghost car. Man, it really shows if you mess up in that car. Crew chief come back and say, hey, you're too high in that corner.
Yep.
Nah. Proof's in the pudding with that baby.
Yeah, you want to get right next to that apron, but you don't want the splitter to hit the apron. The splitter dragging the apron will slow the car down, but you need to be as tight around the corner as possible.
15th for Ty Dillon, so Keselowski holds on to the bubble. And here is Christopher Bell. 3 top 10s in the last 4 races.
See if he can join the rest of that Toyota stable.
Toyota's 1, 2, 3, and 5 on the scoring pylon right now.
Trending to be first. This is against Brad here for the bubble in 10th. But right now, look at the pylon there. Martin Truex Jr. at the top at 20.
Big lap. It's going to be a battle of those Toyotas in this final 10, boys. Some Chevrolets in there. Looking forward to seeing the rest of these Hendrick cars.
If Jones holds on here, there will be 5 Toyotas and 5 Chevrolets in the top 10. Keselowski is the only Ford, and his bubble is about to burst.
You saw that car really bouncing in the corner, very rigid. Got this baby tied down to that racetrack.
Wow, 53-15.
Shots fired. Very fast lap.
Nice work.
7 100ths quicker than Martin Truex. For Christopher Bell.
Watching that splitter bouncing across the racetrack. They got that car sitting down on the stops really hard, and it's pretty rough on that driver, but keeps that car out of the air, keeps it low as possible.
And literally, when you say that, down on the stops, they have bump stops, if you will, on these shocks, and they run them all but rigid on 3 of the 4 corners, like literally rigid. That's how much downforce these cars have in them, that you can afford to be able to do that with your chassis. I mean, almost like it was just a solid steel rod in there.
Chase Elliott, the April 19 Talladega winner, and I want to return to the incident with Chase Elliott and Cody Ware at the request of Robbie Benton of Rick Ware Racing, who said that when those two got together last week at Bristol, they were racing for position, and they were both on the lead lap at that time. A view also expressed by Rick Ware on Sirius XM radio earlier this week.
This is a big shock right here. Chase Elliott not going to make the top 10. Just again, I think that's a case for, hey, we need some practice. They probably would have been able to fix whatever's going on there that's cost him that speed. They probably would have been able to diagnose and understand that and make the adjustments.
Well, here's a clue of where to look. His get up to speed lap was a full second slower than Martin Truex's.
Well, and it carried over. I mean, that just shows, you know, if it's slow coming up to speed, it's going to be slow in the lap. There's not a lot of speed in that car at all. And not this one. But I tell you what, you know, as we're watching, riding along with Alex Bowman right there, and him maybe not being able to make the bubble either, when you really think about the Hendrick cars, the speed that they have at the Daytona 500, the struggle they have with the grip and the handling of the race cars, maybe made an adjustment, Dale.
Yeah, you can see that car knocking a little bit of dust up out the back end there, down the back straightaway, sitting down on the ground, dragging. Anytime that car's making contact with the racetrack, it's knocking a mile an hour out here, a mile an hour out there.
But I feel like if I was in one of those cars and constantly knocking on the door of the front row, yeah, we want to be up there on qualifying day, but I want to be in victory lane on Sunday. Is there anything you could do to help me get some grip for Sunday? I would almost maybe think about giving up some speed if it came with some grip.
Well, Bowman and Elliott have qualified within 1/10 of a second of each other, 22nd and 23rd. So here is Kyle Larson, whose last Talladega top 10 came in 2016. That's why he says, I just want to finish one.
Now he's got a decent lap started here. We'll see if he can hang on. that's kind of more like what we're used to seeing out of these Hendrick cars.
He has the 5th fastest get up to speed lap, and that will make a difference. Track temp started at 89. It's currently 104.
Going to be well into the top 10 for sure. Joining his teammate William Byron.
So I believe if the 5 and the 24 come out of the same building, even though they're all at the same property, the 5 and the 24 come out of one space, where the 48 and the 9, I think, come out of another. I don't know. It's kind of interesting how those two cars, the 24 and the 5, seem to qualify similar, where the 9 and the 48 qualified similar, maybe going off similar notes.
A little bit different mentalities for sure showing up.
So back at Daytona, the Hendrick cars were 1 through 4 in qualifying round 1, but during the race led only 2 laps.
Yeah, they were MIA during the Daytona 500. I was watching that race this week. I was really surprised by the pace that the Toyotas had early, but they just don't have the numbers. They got eliminated in wrecks, and then the Fords took over and dominated the finish.
So Tyler Reddick, who came so close to winning last week, he's becoming this generation's Harry Gant. Harry had either 8 or 9 second-place finishes before he got his first win. Of course, Reddick hopes it won't go that far. He's had 4 runner-up finishes now.
In my opinion, he keeps knocking on that door. It's going to blow open, and when it does, this kid's capable of putting Richard Childress Racing back in victory lane. Let me tell you, it's so funny we talked about that. You heard what I said earlier about those Hendrick cars. If I was on the front row and there was some speed to be lost there, if it came with giving me some grip so I could do a better job on Sunday and be in the Pack B, aggressive with my pushing and things like that with a stable race car, I'm all about it. The other side of that conversation, look at the Ford boys. The Blue Oval's 13th best right now in a Brad Keselowski, which basically dominated that race with the speed in his race car. He could push, literally run over cars, and did a couple times. I feel like those cars are set up for whatever reason to be able to push on Sunday, but they don't show much muscle on Saturday.
So Tyler Reddick bumps in by 1,000th of a second. He knocks Justin Haley out of the top 10. And here is Ryan Blaney, who has won 2 of the last 5 Talladega races.
Again, you don't see him in the top 10, but you're going to see him tomorrow. It's looking down the board, guys. Toyota, and then the Chevy guys start showing up, and then the Ford guys. A lot of parity looking down through here.
Talking to Brad Keselowski last night, he might be a little surprised he's the fastest of the Fords. He says, I don't think we'll have qualifying speed, but we're going to race really, really well. Joey Logano getting up to speed. Here's his launch. His teammate Ryan Blaney is 20th, the 5th fastest Ford.
When you're trying to get up to speed there coming off pit road, you want to stay off those painted lines or the start and finish line. Anything like that's going to spin the tire a little bit. Try to avoid all that as you're going up to speed.
The 3-time Talladega winner has finished top 5 in the last 2 races of this season. He's gaining a little there on Tyler Reddick.
Sure is. Seemed like he really gained down the end of that back stretch.
Yep.
Almost about a half a car length.
Through the corner and then kind of lost it again down the straightaway.
#12 for Logano. 53.57. The difference 6/100ths of a second to Tyler Reddick.
That's the best Ford.
Yep. Kyle Busch, the Bristol winner.
Backed into him one, didn't he? Huh? How about that? That was so funny how that worked out. I had to eat a little crow on that, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, gave Bowman a hard time for backing into a win. Then he goes around and does it. That's why you got to watch what you say sometimes, because it always comes back around.
Never seems to work for me, Dale. Always insert foot here.
Yep.
Kyle has 1 top 10 in the last 9 Talladega races, his win in 2008.
Look at that line he's running. Did you see on the screen? Choosing to have a little bit of a arc into the corner, adding distance to the lap, but it's actually.
But I actually think it worked.
Yeah.
You see him starting to creep ahead about a half a car length.
All right, so the asphalt is almost 20 degrees hotter than when we started, but that means the air is less dense, so it's easier to push through. I wonder which has a greater effect as we get late in this session.
Oh, man, that's close. He missed it. Oh, man.
53-51 for Kyle Busch with a 5, and Kyle misses it by 0.02 of a second. Christopher Bell will lead them into round 2. Christopher Bell will lead them into final round qualifying, but watch this right here. 178.95 miles per hour. Tyler Reddick advances. And watch these next two with almost identical speeds. Tyler Reddick beat Justin Haley by 1/1000th and Kyle Busch by 2/1000ths to advance. Here's Vince with the fastest man in Talladega.
And that is Christopher Bell, pilot of the number 20 car, and the top 4 Toyotas at a speedway. What is going on?
I don't know, Vince. That's pretty crazy, but I mean, obviously all the guys at TRD and Toyota did a great job bringing a really, really fast package here. So DeWalt Camry is top of the charts right now. We'll see if we can repeat.
Have a target time for this second lap?
Honestly, I don't know. This is my first time making it to the second round at a speedway, so if I remember right, I think times get a little bit faster because the cars, the bearings and stuff get a little bit hotter, so we'll see.
Mike?
Thanks, Vince. Track temp up to 104.
You're so right, Mike. I don't think I've ever seen a bubble picture. I mean, you were literally a 53, 51 with a 3, 51 with a 4, and 51 with a 5. Crazy how tight that was. On such a big racetrack, right?
Yeah, a battle of thousands.
That's 6 inches difference. Literally 6 inches on this 2.6 mile racetrack.
Wow.
Came down to 6 inches.
You never leave before the checkered flag waves at Talladega. Whether you have to walk across the line, whether they come across in a huge group, or whether it's just a couple of them.
That's a good finish right there.
Oh, no, it wasn't. Why did you do that? You pushed Jimmy past me.
Got me some free beer.
Always a wild finish. And I can't wait for that moment tomorrow. It'll be there again. It'll be there for the Xfinity race. There's something about this place. And Dale, I don't know what your opinion is, and my opinion changed over the years. The difference of where that start-finish line is at this racetrack versus any other racetrack, being a little bit farther down, getting into turn 1. Man, at times I wish it was different, and at times, boy, it put me right in the catbird seat.
Yeah, definitely was smart to put it somewhere different than Daytona. It makes this track unique, and the race ain't over till you come through the trial and you get to see that checker flag.
All right, getting ready for the final round of qualifying. Let's go down to the qualifying line. Vince Welch.
He's the playoff points leader, the only driver with 2 wins this season. He's won at Daytona and was runner-up here last year. How confident are you of your super speedway game?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I mean, these guys have been bringing great race cars, and Liberty University Chevy's good again today, so hopefully we can get a pole. I don't know, those Gibbs guys look pretty fast that first round, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I enjoy coming to these places now. I enjoy the art of the draft and kind of what it takes, and it's a lot of fun.
Fun to watch too, Mike.
That big noise you heard was the launch of Tyler Reddick. Apparently everybody now knows what we know. The 2 fastest drivers coming off of pit road ended up right near the top of the board in round 1. So that launch has become very important if you're going to win this pole.
Should be a little bit quicker. Fluids are up to temperature where you want them, optimized, and all your bearings, everything has some temperature in them. Should be just a tick faster.
And the weather is hotter, so the air is thinner.
Yeah, he's right up against that wall, trying to make this get up to speed lap as long as he possibly can to give the car all the opportunity to create as much speed before he takes that green flag right against the wall there. There's a debate about how close you get to that wall. Does it change cow pressure and things like that? Does it create side force, slow the car down?
Hey, ain't no cows on these things anymore, buddy.
You're right.
But it is funny. Over the years, I always question the same thing. That side force on the air, you know, the side of the car, is it stuck to the wall? Is that creating drag? A lot of different mentalities and opinions on that.
So Reddick has the 6th fastest get up to speed lap of this entire qualifying session. We'll see how that plays out.
You know, so many of those things that you know, your sayings and your thought process has changed so much with this car. You know, that radiator inlet that feeds the engine, feeds the air underneath the car for downforce. All of that is forced into that radiator in the front of it, that radiator opening.
Now he got way low entering turn number 3, but he is much faster in 3 and 4 this lap than last time.
Looks like a little bit of debris on the grill there or something. I don't know if that's there or not. Might improve the speed of that car just slightly.
Could only help, right?
Yeah.
It was definitely faster, like I said. Around a 53.51 in his first one, picked up to a 39.
Daniel Hemrick, 9th fastest in round 1 with a 53.49.
So there's a gap in between that A post and the window net. It's probably, what, 4 inches or so gap all the way down. And basically what he's doing is just trying to you know, fill that gap, fill that void, not allowing air to get inside that car.
And you see some drivers do it, some don't. It's just a driver in his mind thinking, what can I do? I'm going to do everything I can. If I think it might help, I'm going to do it.
I remember back in the day, and I think it was when we had the wickers on the car, you know, the teams, we really started to get creative with that, how far you could reach out and kind of cup your hand, if you will, on that A-pillar to push air up over that spoiler.
Now let's remind you, the double yellow line rule is in effect for qualifying. Otherwise, they'd sweep down to that apron in the tri-oval. But they are not allowed. Hemrick is faster, 53.22, and he also picks up a 1/4 second over his round 1 lap.
That's a good pickup. Hemrick and Tyler ran a 49 and a 51 in the first round, and you see the gap between them now. Hemrick's car seeming to pick up a little bit more.
Yeah, he definitely picked up more than Tyler Reddick did.
William Byron with Hemrick, who is fastest as the Ghost car. Byron's first lap, 53.48.
Yeah, it looks like Byron is not picking up like those first 2 cars did. Struggling to keep pace here with the Ghost car.
Man, it sure is weird seeing these Hendrick guys not just pulling away in the Ghost car like they did at Daytona, like they have in the past. I'm telling you, I think we've got a little bit different mentality with that camp. See if it holds true tomorrow.
Yeah, they've either done something intentionally to try to race better, or the other teams have done some more work and found some speed. Certainly think that's true for the Toyota camp. They went to work and found some speed before they came back to Talladega.
And Byron is second with 53.31. He picks up 17/100ths over his first round lap. Here's the first of the Toyotas, Denny Hamlin, who was 7th in round 1 with 53.44.
You know, watching William Byron right there, and then you see the 11 of Denny Hamlin. I just think that they seem to be more rigid, you know, the platforms of the cars. That thing was really bouncing as he pulled it down to the start-finish line in the tri-oval.
Impound race, so no adjustments allowed after qualifying. We'll get ready to line them up for tomorrow. Usually you'd hear Larry McReynolds with us on this qualifying broadcast, but Larry is being crew chief this week for Jeffrey Earnhardt in the Xfinity Series. And Larry Mack helped Jeffrey Earnhardt put that car on the pole for today's race.
So cool to see that.
The number 3. Yep.
Number 3 with an Earnhardt in it. Larry Mack on the box, just like it used to be.
Just like Larry planned it. This is a bit of a surprise here to see this 11 car get beat by Hemrick.
53.30. Now he only picked up 14/100ths from round 1.
Now, in all fairness, Denny was the slowest of the Gibbs cars, running 44 in his first lap, but I agree. That pickup by Daniel Hemrick in the 16 was very impressive. Look at here.
Kyle Larson has the fastest get-up-to-speed lap yet in round 2. End of the whole session.
It's carrying over to his lap.
Here's where that 16 car was really strong. Second half of the lap, second half of the lap, he just carries more speed. And I think that's platform.
Down the straightaway speed, straightaway handling, and you can see the 5 starting to run him back down in the corner, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Hemrick pulling away down the short chute into the tri-oval. And Larson is second by 3/100ths of a second. And then there were 5 left to run for the pole at Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega. Upper left, the 5 drivers that have run. Lower right, those who are left to qualify. 1 Chevrolet and 4 Toyotas.
Well, you know that last car going out, Christopher Bell, and that 20 is the fastest car, was the fastest car. Just like Daniel Hemrick in the 16, he picked up more than the rest. He's going ahead. Can one of these 4, Daniel Suarez in that Tootsie's car? Boy, Dale, how many times, how many good nights you had in Tootsie's over the years, huh?
I'm a kind of rookie to that place, but it's a fun place. I've been there a couple times. Not as many as you, I imagine.
My.
Not a bad spot.
It's heaven.
Yeah. Most of these guys are picking up about a 10th to a 10th and a half. You mentioned it. Hemrick picked up 2.5 tenths to be able to run that 22.
And that was the difference, right? I mean, the pickup was just more substantial with Hemrick in his lap. I don't know what they did. They did something different. He had that hand up. I know that. Maybe that was it.
He did.
Huh?
That was the hand. Yeah.
These boys better pay attention. Better get them hands up.
So I guess the reason for that 4-inch gap between the window net and the roll bar post is so the drivers can see that left side rearview mirror without any interference.
When we started running that full net all the way up to the front, to be honest with you, I did not like it at all at the super speedways. I really fought, needing and couldn't see, inability to see that left side mirror.
Suarez now has the fastest get up to speed lap.
Went to those custom squared mirrors with no dome on them. Man, I struggled with that. Teammate Kevin Harvick liked it, so you better run it.
Yeah.
Man, I could not see out of that thing.
Boy, Daniel Hemrick holding up well here.
Of course, I also had Brett Griffin as a spotter, and you couldn't tell if he was saying clear or near.
Yeah, you might as well. I had nobody up there. He won't like that.
Is he your employee?
He won't like that one. That's a good lap,
wow.
Daniel.
That was awesome. Second fastest, 53.23. He picks up a 10th and a 100th, 11/100ths. And now we're into the Toyotas, 4 of them. Last fall's winner, Bubba Wallace, who ran a 53.31 in round 1.
Yeah, so if he picks up that 1/10 to that 10th and a half, this is a car that should be able to get up there and beat the Hemrick car.
Yes.
Right now, though, half a 10th off, coming onto the back straightaway. See that RPM going up just a little bit?
You sure did. You can hear it. End of the day, it's a strong run for those 2311 cars. Both teammates making this final 10. You see that left rear mirror right there? That's exactly what you were talking about, and that's got a line in it. That's something Denny Hamlin used to do. I remember he would actually change that, have a crew guy stand behind his car and get his depth perception in off of that line. I don't really know. Dale, did you ever put a line in yours?
I never did. I think with all the, with the mirrors and this car changing like it has, it's more critical for Denny and those guys to kind of know where the clearance is on the back bumper.
Might be something to that. Denny won him several, 3 Daytona 500s?
First car to slow down right there.
Yep, Bubba Wallace lost 2 100ths from his first round lap. He is 6th fastest as we move to his teammate Kurt Busch at 23.11.
Look at here.
Now in round one, Kurt Busch for a long time had the best get up to speed lap.
The 16 coming back, though, as we've seen time and time again, and much quicker the second half of the lap than anyone else that's ran.
But it's all right there on that backstretch. Just starts motoring by everybody. And I don't know, Dale, is that a win conversation? What happened right there where he pulls away from everybody at the end of the backstretch?
Yeah, you were talking during the break about the flags had stopped blowing, the flags had stopped moving when the 16 was running. Maybe he got a little break in the wind. It's only about 9 miles an hour here today, but just that little bit of wind on the back straightaway, or the headwind that these guys are facing.
1 mile an hour could be a difference.
Yeah.
When their times are this tight.
And Kurt Busch is fourth. He picks up only 2 100ths from round one. Daniel Hemrick hanging tough.
Sure is.
For the pole here.
It's just impressive because of the pickup, right? Everybody's kind of uniform following suit on the pickup, and then you look at his big time pick. Look at here. Now that, I haven't seen anybody a whole car length ahead. I think Daniel Hemrick might run him down, but he ain't going to run him down that far.
Hemrick picked up 27 hundredths, a quarter of a second between rounds.
Still pulling away. Big time lap here, Dale.
Christopher Bell's going to have his work cut out for him to go out here and try to beat this.
Martin Truex, his first lap was a 22, which is what Hemrick ran, but I think he's going to best that by quite a bit here.
Martin won both stages in the Daytona 500, stage 1 and 2. Got in some crashes there in stage 3.
Top of the chart for Martin Truex.
First flat we've seen.
He picks up 22 100ths of a second, knocks Daniel Hemrick off the pole, and Kaulig Racing moves to the outside of the front row. Christopher Bell, who had a 53.15 in round one, is going to try to make it an all-Toyota front row here.
And Clint, we've been talking about how rough these Gibbs cars look like they're riding. I think this one rides the roughest, just watching the video.
Sure does, and look at your screen. It's also, well, it was. Man, look at this. It's hard they can tell which one's the ghost.
Wow.
Starting to pull ahead just a little bit. This is going to come down to the wire.
In round one, Bell was faster than Truex by 7 100ths of a second. It's going to be closer this time, I think.
Something about 3 and 4. As soon as they get to 3 and 4, it really separates them in for the boys. In this lap, I think he's going to do it.
First one in the 52s.
By a car length plus. Christopher Bell, 52.927. That's 23 100ths. That's a quarter of a second.
Well, you said it, Dale. I mean, they have showed up in a big way. The Gibbs boys came to play.
Christopher Bell has just won his second career pole. Seabell has his second pole and third front row start of the season. Christopher Bell and Martin Truex Jr., a pair of Toyota Camrys, will square off from the front row here tomorrow. And here's Vince with our pole sitter.
Well, they say it doesn't really matter where you start. You can win from anywhere at Talladega, but it's still got to be pretty nice to start on the pole and know you've got that speed. Picked up 23 hundredths. Where'd you get that?
I can't say that I got anything. That was all my crew guys. So just very thankful to be in the position I am, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in this number 20 DeWalt Camry. So we've got a great team. This one is a really big thank you to Andy Graves at TRD. We ride him pretty hard, and I'll give this engine a 10, Andy.
Clint and Junior talked a little bit about the wind. Did you feel like maybe that was a factor at all?
Yeah, I mean, we went first, so obviously it didn't hinder us, but even the first round and the second round, I could tell that my RPMs picked up really big going down the back straightaway, and then they were pretty flat going down the front straightaway. So I don't know if it was an advantage to me, but definitely didn't hurt.
He'll start from the front tomorrow.
Now let's have a look at the starting lineup. All Toyota front row, Bell and Truex. Chevys 3, 4, 5.
Bubba Wallace back there in row 5. Tyler Reddick trying to come back, maybe get that first win.
And the first Ford is Joey Logano back in 13th.
That's the part of the equation that I'm really curious about tomorrow. Watching those Fords, we saw them very dominant at Daytona in the 500. Can they do the same thing? Definitely didn't show up today, did they?
Not for qualifying, but as we pointed out back from Daytona, Hendrick went 1 through 4 in qualifying at Daytona, but
for whatever reason, they can just push
in the
way
race.
more aggressive.
Yeah.
But look at the names clear back here. Daytona 500 winner Michael McDowell, Ricky Stenhouse. You know he's going to be there. Chase Elliott, he'll find his way up through there.
39 cars will roll off and start the race here tomorrow for 500 miles.
It's going to be interesting. We saw at Daytona the 500, the Toyotas actually moved to the front and make some good work, you know, and I think that they got the cars to do it again, and they can push, they can tandem. The Fords, we know they can push, they can tandem. What have the Chevys learned? What have they done to come here and put a better showing than they had in Daytona?
Well, this is the first time that Joe Gibbs Racing has swept the front row at Talladega in races where we have had qualifying. They did start up front in 20 and 21 when there was no qualifying, but this time they have won the front row. Coming up next, NASCAR Race Hub, and then the General Tire 200 for ARCA. Jamie Little, Phil Parsons, Austin Cindric on the call, Drew Dollar on the pole. Then NASCAR Race Day, then the Xfinity race, which will be on Fox. Jeffrey Earnhardt in the number 3. How you feel about that on the pole?
I'm proud of him, man. He's worked hard to get these opportunities, and I hope he makes the best of it today.
And Larry Mack on the pit box. An action-packed day across the Fox networks, live here from Talladega. Congratulations, Christopher Bell, pole sitter for tomorrow's Cup race at the world's fastest speedway.
Thank you, Mike. Well, it's already been a busy day out at